Hello, my friends. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Novella, and today is, and that means coffee clutch. Coffee clutch means that I invite you over for a coffee and we have a little chit chat. Hence the word clutch. Now, I still am struggling with my reading slump. I never had this in my entire life. It really is annoying. There's no book that really can keep my attention in a way, and maybe I choose wrong, or the neurons in my little brain are broken down, or whatever. There's only one book that I've actually finished. I've read more than one book, but this one I finished. It was Three Fires by Denise Mina. And this is about a brother who lived, a Dominican brother who lived in the 15th century around Florence, in the Florence area. And he thinks he is a sort of a messenger of God, because he could predict a couple of things, but they were actually rather easy to predict. He predicted the death of a bishop and then the death of the Pope, but those were old men in really poor condition. So, yeah. And at the beginning, he's really bad, really bad at bringing sermons, so he was never invited to bring a sermon. But he learned to look at the audience and see how they reacted to his words. And the more and more he played on that, and the more and more he could captivate his audience. And then, but at the same time, there's also a struggle, a power struggle between the Borgias and the Medicis, which were the two most important families in Italy and for a big part of Europe. They were the most, they had the popes and the princes and the kings, and they were very powerful, and they had the money also. They were bankers, and art. So yeah, this is all sort of a struggle for power, and with this brother in the middle of it. And yeah, it was quite interesting. It was a good, easy read. There were a couple of mistakes in there that really got me out of my focus. It knocked me back a bit, like using in one sentence kilometers and in the other miles and stuff like that. I think that's an editor's mistake. They should have taken that out. Either you talk about miles or kilometers, but not for the same thing. Like in one sentence, he said he walked 50 miles one day and then 76 kilometers the other day. So it didn't make sense. Now, but a good read, interesting, and especially how the Borgias and the De Medicis, how they used their power as a sort of chess pawns, really interesting. And how it ends, well, it's all in the title. So yeah, interesting. And yeah, I also started Kairos by Erpenbeck. She was one of the long-listed ones for the International Booker. I will make a reaction video next week on that, because I'm not impressed this time. I've read so far 6 books out of the 13. Two I forgot completely. And the other one, The Crooked Plough, I will not go too deeply into it, but I think The Crooked Plough I didn't really like because of the translation. I read it in Dutch because it was first published in Dutch. And I think viewing my Goodreads and the people I follow, the ones that have read the English version, all of them gave better ratings, and in Dutch it was like 2 and 3 maximum. So yeah, that's not a good sign. If it's just the text, it would be more diverse, and I think it's the translation. So yeah, but I will talk about that later. So I started Kairos by Jenny Erpenbeck. I really liked it at the beginning, but about 60% in, I finished. I DNF'd it. I couldn't be bothered anymore by the two protagonists. I mean, this is a story about a young girl, 19 years old. She falls in love. She meets an author who is 53, married, and they start an affair. And more and more, the young girl feels dominated by the man, and he starts using more and more Gestapo techniques to keep her under his thumb. But after a while, I couldn't be bothered anymore. The only thing that really was fascinating was how the Germans, well, the Aussies, this is set in 87, 86, so close to the Wende, where Germany gets reunited. And that was interesting to see how it was for the Aussies, how it was for people from East Germany to come to West Germany and to see, all the shops, and especially the shops that are open only at night for plays and stuff. And but it was so much focus on that I didn't know where she wanted to go. So I couldn't be bothered with it. I DNF'd it. I gave it 2 stars. No. And then I looked around. I have so many books that I want to read, but then nothing really spoke to me. And so what do? Well, you go to your little local library. So I brought a couple of books, and I hope these will get me out of my reading slump. So I brought Elfriede Jelinek's new book. She is an Austrian Nobel Prize winner. I talked about this book in my predictions for the International Booker, but I can't find it back anymore on Goodreads. So there was an English version of it, but it's gone. It's gone. I can't find it anymore. So I think they waited a little to publish this one. So this is personal data, if you can translate it. So Elfriede Jelinek, is obliged to give insight to all her personal documents to the state because of her taxes. There was a whole lot of discussion concerning her taxes. They want to see her letters and her emails, and just to be sure that she wasn't working unofficially. And but it also forced her to really look at her own documents, and she finds things that she forgot about, things of her family. They were the Jewish part of her family. So this book becomes really a reflection of her own past and her family's past. So I am looking forward towards this one. I've read Jelinek 25 years ago. I read her plays because I really like her plays. And but this will be the first novel that she has written that I will read. Then there was also a book by Pilar Quitana, The Abyss in English. Yeah, my personal, my little library. It's a very local, small village library. They hardly have any books in English or YA. Then they are well stocked, but I don't hardly read YA. So, The Abyss by Pilar Quintana. This is the story about Claudia, and she still lives with her parents, and in that, I believe it is an apartment full of plants, and the more and more she stays there, she feels like the plants want to hug her and want to give her a hug. And this is a book about dealing with childhood trauma. So yeah, a fun little read. And then Afterlife by Adbulrazak Gurnah. Adbulrazak Gurnah. He is the Nobel Prize winner of Tanzania, I believe. And it talks about the colonial, German colonial regime in East Africa. And yeah, it talks about multiple generations dealing with the Germans in East Africa. Must have been interesting. Germans in Africa. There you go. And then a non-fiction book. They have little non-fiction, and because there's no demand for it in their library, people mostly read thrillers and romance, and the easy, easy digestive books and digestible books. And there was one new entry new book that I bought that spoke to me. It's a chunker. All the other books were all about baking and cooking and preserving and all the stuff that wasn't really for me. So this one, Hitler, Nemesis, by Ian Kershaw, 1936-1945. I think this is really interesting, but it's a lot. It's 1,200 pages. Another light read to just get back into my reading mojo. But yeah. So that's about it that I can talk about. I'm also reading Middlemarch. I'm still enjoying Middlemarch. I'm 75% in, so I will be easily finished by the end of March for Classics and Company. That one I'm really enjoying, but I don't want to read it fast because I really want to grasp everything, the play with words and the jokes. It's not always easy to read a book in a foreign language, and that's also a bit... I'm a bit craving for reading in my own language, I guess. I think that is the biggest problem. So it will do me good to read in my own language. And yeah, I will soon post a video about my reaction onto the International Booker, because I have some comments. But yeah, that's it. I have nothing more interesting to say besides my reading slump. Yeah, that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again. Bye-bye.